Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got great news for you. If you've been waiting for the weekend, it has finally arrived. It's finally beginning to warm up in the state of Florida. You know, turn that fan off up north. You've been blowing on us pretty hard. And the best news of all is it looks like the weather is going to be good enough for me to go fishing. And those of you who follow old Salty Dog on my show, you know, Make Fishing Great Again, know that I'm just not quite the same if I don't have a fishing trip in. It looks like I'm going to get one. Didn't get one last week. All right, we got a great show for you today. We're going to start out with Mitt Romney. I know you don't really want to start your day with Mitt Romney, but he has done something interesting. Mitt Romney is warning the Democrats, the Senates and the Democrats, that if they kill the filibuster, which he's not for, it could lead to an unrestrained Donald Trump coming in the White House and I guess taking over the country. Would it be true, you know? But he's warning them. We're going to get into that. And then Biden, his administration, Granholm, his Secretary of Energy, has now come out and said that in one of the ways they're thinking about dealing with the high price of gasoline is to tap into our strategic, sometimes that's hard for me to say, strategic fuel reserves. And this is, you know, think about it, that is really rich coming from a group of people that basically killed our energy industry. Now they want to tap our reserves. It is absolutely insane, and we'll tell you all about it. And then Kamala Harris, as I was telling my producer right before the show starts, I hope we have time to get into this. She literally is the gift that keeps on giving. You know, she's kind of head of some kind of space council or something. I mean, space cadets, I guess. But she literally, and we're going to play the video for you, asked NASA experts if they could track trees with their satellite images to prove racism exists. I know it sounds crazy, it is, but it's true. But before we go any further, let me tell you something really crazy, and that is the deal you can get on all things Second Amendment. Look above the video, no matter when or where you're watching it, click on the link BDU, Big Daddy Unlimited, follow the directions, and you will get factory direct pricing on guns and ammunition. Yes, I said guns and ammo delivered directly to your door in stock, ready to go, as well as over 100,000 related items. You can't go wrong with that. And if you want to know just how good a pricing you can get, I got great news for you on that front. Check out Denny's Deals. Denny comes across John Martin Talks Facebook channel. He's also on our excluded Facebook channel. You get to that by spelling excluded. Drop the big E, spell it with a big X, excluded. Denny comes there at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, an hour before us. He picks a few products from the Big Daddy Unlimited arsenal. He demonstrates them, talks about them, but then he shows you the factory direct pricing you'll get if you're a member of BDU. Once you see how much money you're saved, you'll go right back to the top of our video, click on that link, follow the direction, get those pricing. Christmas is literally around the corner, and nothing says I love you more than maybe a little 38 snub nose in the stocking. I mean, what could tell somebody you care about them more than that? All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. This is old Mitt Romney. This comes to you from Business Insider. Mitt Romney warns Democrats against eliminating the filibuster, says they could face a future unrestrained Trump presidency. Now that picture of Mitt might not be fair. Billy Bob, if you hadn't met my psychic sidekick, he's Billy Bob Bass. He's got a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. And he's always playing a little jokes. But to me, that pretty much sums up Mitt Romney. I actually love that picture. Thank you, Billy Bob. But, you know, we're determined. I'll say this and we'll get on with the story. We are determined, we here at John Martin Talks, to stay in the public square, social media, all platforms, You know, we're on Rumble now. Good morning, Rumblers. We're live streaming to Rumble every day, which has become the bastion of free speech, so check that out. We're still on YouTube, John Martin Talks, spell it all the way out. We're in and out of jail there quite frequently, but we're determined to stay in the public square, and the way we're going to do that is you, our viewers, our listeners, sharing our show, liking our show, telling people about it, putting it in your favorites. That's what you got to do. You got to be a bit more proactive if you want to listen to conservative shows and entertaining shows, period, like us, because the rest of them are a bore, right? All right, let's get into the story. Senator Mitt Romney, and before I go any further, let me just tell you, if you're new to the show, you need to hear that. If you've been listening for a while, you already know this. I am no fan of the Romney man. I am no fan of the Mitt man. I kid you not. Senator Mitt Romney warned Democrats against changing filibuster rules in the upper chamber, pointing to the prospect of Republicans seizing control of Congress in 2022 and former President Donald Trump, it breaks my heart to say that, is the article, potentially retaking the White House in 2024. Well, so what Mitt Romney is saying is, go back to this title, he's saying that if they eliminate the filibuster and Trump actually wins in 2024 and the Senate is taken over in 2022, which I hope he's right about that we'll have an unrestrained Trump presidency. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that is literally what I want. I've told you this back for the 2020 election. You know, they talked about Donald Trump being unhinged, and I kept telling you, I can't wait till he gets reelected, because then we'll have Donald Trump unleashed, baby, and that is what I want. Can you imagine a Donald Trump presidency that is not constrained by, you know, what anybody thinks? I mean, he wasn't much constrained before, but yeah, he was going to run for reelection. That's no secret. But Donald Trump getting a second term and not having to run for reelection, that would be Donald Trump unleashed, and it would be something to behold. Romney referenced the Democratic push for voting rights legislation with the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Advancement Act. These two acts basically are trying to circumvent the Constitution. Let me just tell you that. That's what they're doing. They're trying to nationalize or federalize our presidential election. A lot of people don't understand this, but we don't have a federal election for presidency. What we basically have, according to the Constitution, is 50 state elections. And the only body within, I'm talking about political body, that can change those election laws in those states, according to the U.S. Constitution, is the state legislature. That is the crux of the problem. We don't talk about voter mod. We don't say the F word. We don't talk about the F word. We say voter mod. You got to play these little games with old algorithm, the most powerful man, do algorithm in social media. But the crux of why Mr. Biden got the most ballots, I'm not saying he's not the right president. Don't block me, ban me, whatever. I'm simply saying that he got the most ballots because the election laws were changed, in many cases unconstitutionally, because they were changed by entities other than state legislatures, which, by the way, is what the Texas case was all about, that didn't really get its fair hearing, didn't get any hearing in the Supreme Court. And so that is what Mitt Romney is talking about here, that the Democrats, in their zest for power, are pushing to end the filibuster so that they can federalize, I would say unconstitutionally, those elections. So I just want to make that clear. But that's what he's talking about when he talks about the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Advancement Act, both of which, according to Mr. Romney, and I think he's right about this, both of which have attracted near universal opposition from Republicans who contend that the federal measures are tantamount to intruding into state election affairs, which is what I was just talking about. They absolutely go against. And as I tell you all the time, what we really need to get back to, we don't need to change the Constitution. We actually just need to reread it, understand it, and stop ignoring it. But let me just tell you this too, before I go any further about Mitt Romney. I got to talk a little bit about my own personal feelings, maybe bias, depends on how. I think it's justifiable bias, if there is such a thing. But Mitt Romney is a piece of work, man, no doubt about it. Let me tell you something I said when Mitt Romney was running for president. I didn't support him, by the way, to show you where I came from. In the primary, I voted for him in the general, but in the primary, I actually voted for Ron Paul. I mean, that tells you kind of where I was. I'm sure not, if you've been listening to my show, you're not too surprised about it. But here's something I am almost ashamed to admit. After Mitt Romney lost, I used to do a radio show, and I said then, you know, Mitt Romney might be the finest guy that we've ever put forward for president. Boy, was I wrong and duped, because I was going by what I knew of Mitt Romney at the time. Let me give you a quick breakdown of the Mitt Romney timeline, because this is important to remember, and a lot of people forget it. I hope I don't leave anything out. Mitt Romney, when he was running for president, got endorsed by Donald Trump, citizen Donald Trump, businessman Donald Trump, not politician, not anything, Donald Trump, right? They made a big deal. They, being the Romney campaign, made a big deal about it. I remember specifically, and I tried to find some video on it, but I had a hard time this morning, but when Trump endorsed him, Mitt Romney looked right in the cameras and said this was a great honor and one of the best days of his life, right? That's what he said. Now, fast forward to when Donald Trump was running for president, and Mitt Romney basically did a speech and called him everything but a child of God, basically in a way became the leader of the anti-Trump movement, or the Never Trump movement. I don't know if you remember that. He gave a speech. You can see it online. It is really atrocious, considering he just a couple of years before had said that, that this was one of the greatest honors he'd ever received, right? So then fast forward to Mitt Romney is running for Senate, right? And this is after President Trump got elected. Mitt Romney decides he's going to run for Senate, and he's begging, literally begging for Donald Trump to endorse him for Senate, which he did. He did, and Mitt Romney won. But the minute that he won, he literally flipped and turned around and started bashing Trump all over again, right? So he basically called Donald Trump everything but a child of God. Then when Donald Trump actually gets elected, he turns around. Oh, I mean, I'm ahead of myself. But so Mitt Romney criticized Trump. Then when Trump got elected, he went and applied for a job. He wanted to be Secretary of State under Donald Trump, the man that he just called the devil himself. And so everything. But then he wanted to run for Senate, got Trump's endorsement, and then he's gone to the Mitt Romney we know now. I wish we could recall Romney right now, but there's just no way. It's not allowed under the Constitution in Utah. But man, if you guys in Utah, if Romney ever runs again for re-election and y'all re-elect him, I mean, good Lord, do us a favor and don't ever let that happen. I just had to get that off my chest before in fairness, before I talk about the Mittster. This is what Romney said about the filibuster and the importance of it. He said, if the Democrats say, look, we're going to eliminate the filibuster just for voting rights, I can assure you that the opposition party, talking about the Republicans, when we are in the majority, will eliminate the filibuster for something else that we care about, that'll be important to us. And it'll be goodbye to the Senate as we know it. Well, I don't know, that might actually be a good thing. I come and go with this filibuster, by the way, you know, but I don't like how it's one day it's good, the next day it's bad, that kind of thing. But it might be a good thing if we did away. I wish we could just flush them all out. You know how I feel about that. But Romney went on to say, he said, note that our federal government empowerment of the minority is established in just one institution, the Senate. And that's important. He's right about that. The majority decades the majority decides in the House, the majority decides in the Supreme Court, and the president is a majority of one. Only in the Senate does the minority restrain the power of the majority. And he's right about that. He's got a point. And it does go back to some of the people who talked about the tyranny of the majority. Look that term up and you'll see the history of it. It wasn't really in the original aspect of it, but basically people like de Tocqueville and John Stuart Mill kind of looked into it. And I think they're right about it, that one of the dangers of a democracy, which is why we have a republic, by the way, but one of the dangers of democracy you have to worry about is the tyranny of the majority. Because if you think about things, a lot of great things, including the Revolutionary War, were not popular at the time that they happened. But you know, if you took just a popular vote on everything, we probably would never have women's rights at the time. We probably wouldn't have the end of slavery at the time. So there is something to be said for protecting the minority from the tyranny of the majority. So he's got a point there. Let's continue. Romney said that a minority should be afforded such political power is a critical element of the institution, talking about the Senate. For a law to pass in the Senate, it must appeal to senators in both parties. The Senate minority empowerment has meant that our nation's policies inevitably tack towards the center. And he has a point there, and he's going to continue with it. But there is one, I don't know if fallacy is the right word, but certainly one point that I will make about all of this in just a moment. But Romney said pretty much by definition, if a piece of legislation comes forward in the Senate with only one party behind it, with only one party that wrote it, it's not going to become law, and things get done. He's long-winded, and things get done are done with people who negotiate beforehand and write the bill on bipartisan basis. And here's where I have a little issue. In principle, this actually sounds pretty good. It protects the tyranny, the minority from the tyranny of the majority. It does make sure that things go a little bit slower, that no one can steamroll. All these points he's making are valid, but here's the problem, and it is bipartisanship. If you're new to the show, first of all, welcome, howdy, how are you? You're in the right place now, but you may not have heard this, but if I say it, it certainly bears repeating. I know what bipartisanship means in the textbook of the dictionary, but in reality, what it really means is Republicans cave. That's what it means. Romney and people like him cave every time. Because I've been saying this, I put this challenge out there, and respond on Rumble or Facebook or wherever you're listening, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But no one has really proved me wrong on this. I can name you tons of times when the Democrats were adamantly for something, and the Republicans said, not so much, we're not for it. And the Republicans turned around and caved and went with the Democrats. I can name you dozens, if not hundreds of times that's happened. But I can't think of hardly any, if any, where Republicans were adamantly for something and Democrats were like diametrically opposed to it. And they said, them old sons of guns over there, them Republicans, they're right, and went and voted with the Republicans. It never happened. So my point being that bipartisanship only goes one way. And that's the flaw in this argument. I wish it were true of what Romney's little dream here, that people could do that. But Republicans cave every time. In fact, we have just seen that this past week, did we not? Where Republicans said, we're not, we're against all this big spending, this trillions of dollars of spending, and they caved in and gave Joe Biden, they bailed out the Biden presidency, at least for the time being at this point. Republicans caved. If it weren't for Republicans, we wouldn't be spending trillions of dollars on non-existent infrastructure projects, But Romney went on to say, he said, have Democrats thought it through? This is his warning about a Trump presidency. Have Democrats thought through what it would mean for them for Trump to be entirely unrestrained, with the Democratic minority having no power whatsoever? I got to tell you, I've dreamed about it. I have absolutely dreamed about it. I mean, I can think about it. Can you imagine? Can you just dream of a Donald Trump unleashed, baby? That's what we really need, man. That's what I was hoping for in 2020. Maybe we can get it in 2024, but I've actually dreamed about it. And Billy Bob said, he just told me, my psychic sidekick here, he said that's proof that some of us are sicker than others, because, some of y'all might dream about all kinds of things. I dream about Donald Trump being unleashed, maybe. Bob is probably right. Some of us are sicker than others. But anyway, This is it, right? This is what I dream of right here. When I think of Donald Trump Unleashed, I think of the Kraken, baby. No one can stop the Kraken, man, except Medusa, which is probably Nancy Pelosi. I try not to dream about that. But the Kraken, baby, I wish Donald Trump would get the Kraken on the swamp once again. If anything good could come out of the swamp, it would be the Trump Kraken, man. Can't you see that? All right, we're going to move along here, but before I get on to my next story, I want to talk to you about a special gift I have for you. Look above the video, no matter when or where you're watching it, and click on johnmartinhealth.com. That's johnmartinhealth.com. Follow the directions and you will get absolutely free my gift to you, no cost whatsoever, $50 value, by the way, a bottle of zinc and a bottle of vitamin D3. Now, one of the things we should all agree on this pandemic, if you will, is that we need to be healthier. We need to get healthy and stay healthy. And one of the ways is to make sure you have the right balance in your body. Get these free $50 value, zinc, D3, johnmartinhealth.com. You can't go wrong. Please accept this gift from me. And while we're talking about health, I want to make a brief comment about something that's been in the news this past week, and that is, what's his name, the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, he came out and they're trying to cancel him. Aaron Rodgers, thank you, Billy Bob. I always think about Brett Favre. He was my favorite. But Aaron Rodgers, you know, he has come out now that he's tested positive for COVID and everything else. And I'm a fan of him as a player, but I'm not a fan of him in general because I think he's a little bit too much of a hipster for me. But now he's seen the light that he's being canceled. And I've been hearing all these different interviews with him. And one of the things he did say that I thought was most outstanding is that he believed in body autonomy when it comes to these vaccines. He believed that it was a personal choice. And, you know, I have to give him some credit for being willing to come out and say it. He is at least trying to stand up to the mob. It'll be interesting to see if he's actually successful of that. He said he believed in freedom. We will see. But we'll keep an eye on that story and maybe update it next week because I don't think the Packers did too well without him, did they? So we'll see. Well, you know, here's the thing. You know, I just thought of it, man. It just popped in my head. You know how we could solve all of this stuff? We could just make a brilliant major stroke and solve much of the world's problems if we just canceled Aaron Rodgers and hired, what's his name, Billy Bob? Oh, the former 49ers, you know. Yeah, Kaepernick, that's it. What we need to do is get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and they just need to bring Colin Kaepernick in to quarterback, and all will be well. Maybe not. Anyway, I digress. Let's get on to this next story. This comes to you via The Hill, and it is a crazy story if you really know the details. Granholm, she is the energy secretary. Granholm says Biden looking at tapping strategic reserves as fuel prices rise. It is absolutely crazy. Think about it. These are the people that killed our energy independence. Do you understand that Donald Trump, love him, hate him, whatever, one of the great things that Donald Trump did is he made us energy independent, us being the United States of America. For the first time in my lifetime, man, the first time I can ever remember, certainly, I'll be 61 on the 28th, so check that out. If you want to give me a happy birthday, just instead of giving me a gift, accept my gift. Go to johnmartinhealth.com. But in the first time I can ever remember, I think in my lifetime, we were energy independent. Do you really understand the significance of that? It's not just that we control, you know, our energy and probably gas prices go down and all that. What it really means is the end to endless wars, because a lot of these endless wars we've been fighting, which Donald Trump was trying to get us out, have to do with energy and the fact that we're dependent upon foreign sources, particularly Middle Eastern sources. And that, ladies and gentlemen, you can't say enough about it, but I don't want to get lost in that. But Donald Trump, love him, hate him, whatever, if he did nothing else, and he did a whole lot more, he actually made us energy independent, and Biden literally squandered that on his first day in office. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm said that President Biden is considering tapping into the nation's strategic petroleum reserve amid rising crude prices. I want to play you a tape. We played this before, but it really only happened within the last week. This is Secretary Granholm when she was asked in an interview, I think on Bloomberg, about what was her plan for energy and lowering gas prices. Check out how she reacted.
In Sturgis, Michigan, it is $2.89 a gallon. I guess that's better than in California. What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God. That is hilarious. Would that I had the magic wand on this. As you know, of course, oil is a global market. It is controlled by a cartel. That cartel is called OPEC, and they made a decision yesterday that they were not going to increase beyond what they were already planning.
That's incredible, man. When you listen, first of all, just the sheer arrogance of her to laugh at the fact that energy prices, gas prices are so high. Americans are struggling now to fill up their tank with gas. We're struggling with supply chain issues. We might not even have presents for Christmas. We're running out of dog and cat food, let alone toilet paper, for God's sakes. I mean, my God. And she's laughing about, what is it with this laughing of the cabinet members, the vice president? I guess she's the head cackler. We're going to do a story about her in just a minute. What is it with these people? They have a total disdain for the American people. What did Chief of Staff for Biden tweet out about, talking about the supply chain and energy prices? He said those are like luxury problems. You know, oh my God, luxury problems. You know, you're struggling to it costs you twice as much to fill up your car to get to work or to wherever you're going, and it's laughable. It's just crazy. But I guess now at least she has a plan. She's going to tap into our strategic petroleum reserves, which is absolutely ludicrous from any way, shape, or form, because we were energy independent. She laughs about it, says, oh, I don't have nothing to do with that. We're dependent on OPEC. That's what she's saying, foreign sources. Yeah, we're dependent on them now because of you guys in the White House. We're in the outhouse because you're in the White House. It's absolutely insane. I've been saying this now for a while. I'll probably say it again before the show's over because it's just crazy. But there's a debate right now but whether Joe Biden may be the worst president we've ever had. And you can certainly make a case that he is. But I don't think there's any doubt that one thing he has is the worst cabinet in the history of this country. These people are a bunch of yahoos, and they're laughing at us, and man, they need to all be impeached, removed, or whatever. It is a total disgrace, man. But to think about this, what they're saying here, they did away with our pipeline, all this kind of stuff on the first day in office, and now they're going to say we're going to tap the reserves. There's a reason. I know it sounds insane and people talk about incompetence, and I agree it seems that way, but my greatest fear is not that they're incompetent, but they know exactly what they're doing. And I'm going to play a video here in a few minutes. We'll break down and it'll tell you it'll prove to you what I'm talking about. But back to this article. During an appearance on CNN's State of the Union, Granholm told host Dana Bash that Biden is looking at every tool in his disposal to address high gas prices in the U.S. What a joke that is. Well, it's not a joke. It's a joke. Look at these guys. These guys were building the XL pipeline. The very first day in office, Biden killed our energy independence and the future of this country to be energy independent in one stroke of the pen. I mean, good Lord. But now they say they want to address high gas prices. Let me tell you flat out, and I'm going to explain this more in a minute and show you proof. They love high gas prices. They are absolutely 100% for high gas prices, and I'm going to show you the proof in just a moment. Hang on. Granholm noted that Biden had already asked the organization of OPEC to increase supply, but it declined. I mean, so we're independent, ladies and gentlemen, to begging OPEC to help us, to begging the countries that say death to America before they even get their breakfast order yet. And they just did that again in Iran. You see, they had a big death to America rally just this past week. I mean, these people, and Biden and them are giving them money, give them arms through the back door of Afghanistan, and now want to enter a treaty with them. It's just nuts. This Donald Trump, heck yeah. Granholm went on to say, listen to this, she said, that's going to increase, talking about these problems we have with it. She said, that is going to increase the chokehold on access to affordable fuel at the pump. What she's talking about is OPEC's refusal to bail out Biden. She says that is going to increase the chokehold on access to affordable fuel at the pump. And so the president is looking at all the tools. I guess he's a tool looking at tools he has. I want to play you a video here. It's Granholm in this interview that she did, and she's explaining what the problem is, her basic philosophy of energy. It's about a minute long. We're going to play it in its entirety, and then we're going to come back and break it down. Check it out.
Should Americans, in what will likely be a cold winter, most of them are, expect to pay higher prices for heating their homes?
Yeah, this is going to happen. It will be more expensive this year than last year. We are in a slightly beneficial position, well, certainly relative to Europe, because their chokehold of natural gas is very significant. They're going to pay 5 times higher. But we have the same problem in fuels that the supply chains have, which is that the oil and gas companies are not flipping the switch as quickly as the demand requires. And so that's why the president has been focused on both the immediate term and the long term. Let us get off of the volatility associated with fossil fuels and associated with others who don't have our country's interests at heart, and invest in moving to clean energy where we will not have this problem. And that's so much of what these 2 bills are focused on.
Should Americans, in what will likely be a cold
we're going to break it down. I'm going to let my producer kind of reset that, but I want to play it again, and we're going to break it down, and I'm going to show you that proof teaser. You heard it at the very end, but let's play it again, and we'll break it down.
Should Americans, in what will likely be a cold winter, most of them are, expect to pay higher prices for heating their homes?
Yeah, this is going to happen. It will be.
Stop it
will
right
be
there.
more.
Yes, it is going to happen. Why? Whose fault is it? If you're up in Massachusetts and you're in that deep blue state, I don't wish, but if you're chilling to the bone in Boston and you have to pay twice as much or even 10% more, but you're going to pay a lot more than that for your heating oil, you need to get one of these little stickers I see everywhere down here that people are putting on gas pumps. And I'm not telling you to deface gas pumps. So they're putting these little stickers, Biden going, I did that, pointing at the price of it. You voted for this. My dad used to say all the time that you get the government you deserve, because that's who you either voted for, or in some cases people don't vote at all. But in blue states up north, if you're shivering, and I don't wish it on anybody, don't look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Now, this doesn't obviously apply to everybody, because there are conservative and patriotic people in North America. But if you don't even, let me just put it this way, if you don't even give a hoot about politics, you better. Because I tell people all the time that you may not care about politics, but politics sure cares a lot about you. And so if you're paying higher energy prices anywhere in this nation, which is everywhere, there is absolutely no one else to blame but Joe Biden and the crazy members of his cabinet. I just want to point that out. Let's keep going.
More expensive this year than last year. We are in a slightly beneficial position, well, certainly relative to Europe, because their chokehold of natural gas is very significant. They're going to pay 5 times higher.
And
but
break it right there. And who is responsible for that, Ms. Granholm? Who's responsible for Europe being tied in, sucking at the teat of Vladimir Putin? It is Joe dadgum Biden and your administration, because Biden came in and on the first day canceled the XL pipeline, that our energy independence now and in the future, canceled it, killed 11,000 high-paying jobs overnight. Boom. But the same Joe Biden that did that went over to Europe and lifted the sanctions that Donald Trump had pushed on to keep Vladimir Putin from building a pipeline to Germany. So now Germany, and she's right, they're paying like 5 times the energy in Europe because basically the gas station of Europe flows through Germany via Vladimir Putin. The whole Russia hoax, you know, we hadn't talked much about it. It's come out now that the whole thing, what we all, many of us knew from the beginning, was a total BS hoax contrived by the Hillary Clinton. Thank God it wasn't her administration because he didn't get one, but contrived by them and supported by the mainstream media. We talked about that on one of our podcasts. By the way, if you want to see our podcast, one of the best ways to do it, beyond going to Rumble and all that, is to download, upload, I get those terms confused, the Excluded app. Go to your app store, spell excluded by dropping the E, put the big X up there, get the Excluded app, and you'll see our show archived there on a daily basis, as well as many, many other programs. Check it out, Excluded app. But let me tell you, the Putin administration is now being supported. If there was a Russia collusion, it was between the progressive leftists, the communists, which is one and the same, and propping up Vladimir Putin. It was not Donald Trump, as we're seeing in living color over the last few days by the Durham report. I've been saying this for a while, but if I say it, it bears repeating. The reason I don't cover the Durham report really, really big is because I'm just a wait and see guy. I just don't believe the rats are going to convict the rats, right? And so I'll believe it. I want to see the perp walk, the coat over the head, the hands behind hiding, all that, as bad as anyone. But I'm just going to believe it when I see it. But let's get back to this video. Keep playing.
The same problem in fuels that the supply chains have, which is that the oil and gas companies are not flipping the switch as quickly as the demand requires. And so that's why the president has been focused on
Stop it right there. The energy companies aren't flicking the switch. You turned off the switch. It's, you know, they're not flicking it as quick. Here's a little side note. You see, you go out in like Texas, or you see the classic up and down of those pumps. They look like, you know, the bird dipping in up and down. Do you realize that some of those wells, they've been going for a long time? And this is a little known fact, that if you actually shut them down, and this has actually happened in our country since Biden came into office, if you shut those down, there is a chance that they will never be reactivated, because it has to do with pressure. I don't particularly totally understand it. I know I got a lot of viewers out in Texas. They probably got a good handle on it. But there is a danger when you shut those down that you can't flip on the switch and get the oil flowing again, because once it stops forever. But let's keep going. Let's listen to Ms. Granholm.
The immediate term and the long term. Let us get off of the volatility associated with fossil fuels and associated with others who don't have our country's interests at heart, and invest in moving to clean energy where we will not have this problem. And that's so much.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the proof. You heard it right from the cat's meow, the mouth right there of Granholm. They don't give a hoot about what you're suffering. They want high energy prices, because the only way, and I'm 100% for alternative fuels, 100%. I'm just not for false markets. What they want to do is starve us to death energy-wise, so that we have no choice but to invest billions of dollars in alternative energy when they're just not ready yet. I'm all for solar, but the battery power is not quite where it needs to be. I'm 100% for wind energy, but it's not reliable. We have to have not only cost-effective energy, but the most important thing, and I've been saying this over and over, the most important thing in energy, period, is reliability. In other words, when you turn the switch on, it comes on. When you need the heat, it comes on. And none of these alternative sources meet the bill even close to what fossil fuels do. So she told you right there, in her own words, you just have to know how to speak progressive ease. You have to, that's one of my jobs, is to translate that stuff for you. But she told you flat out that what we need is to have a situation where we can get off of fossil fuels and invest, which means spend a ton of your money in alternative sources. That is what this is all about. And they want you to be so desperate that you go, well, you know, they want that, what they want to do is make the most reliable source of energy, fossil fuels, petroleum products, which is without a doubt the most reliable. They want to make that the least reliable so that you will pedal your little Flintstone car. That's what they're trying to do. So if you think that they're trying to solve the problem, they are not. They want it to get worse, period. I'm just telling you. All right, we got a few minutes left, and I got to get into this story. I mean, Kamala Harris, man, she literally is the gift that keeps on giving. Amazing. This comes to you via Breitbart. Black trees matter. VP Kamala Harris asked NASA if it can track trees by race for environmental justice, what she calls EJ. I didn't know that, EJ. You know, I didn't know if you needed a pill for your EJ problem or what, but Kamala Harris, man, you know, she made news with NASA a couple of weeks ago, so we're going to play you this video. This is not the one that she's in the latest, you know, tweet storm about. I mean, she has gone viral with this latest one, but this is one from a few weeks ago. This is Kamala Harris, and I got a few friends of mine we now joke about seeing craters with your own eyes. She is in this produced video with child actors. We weren't even able to get just regular children, and she just over-dramatized this. But I want you to see and hear this video if you hadn't. It is off the chain, and then we'll get into the one she just did, and it carries it over the top. But check this one out.
I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. To think about so much that's out there that we still have to learn. Like, I love that. I love that. And so I'm very excited about the Space Council. We're going to learn so much as we increasingly, I think, are curious and interested in the potential for the discoveries and the work we can do in space. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about. But the other, you guys are gonna see, you're gonna literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes. Oh my goodness. With your own eyes, I'm telling you, it is gonna be unbelievable.
I keep waiting for the little like cartoon bird to chirp in. You hear the like birds in the background. I keep waiting for the one to chirp in and go zippity-doo-dah, zippity. I mean, good Lord. This woman is so fake, man. And you got to believe those kids are going, I see the craters on the moon with my own eyes every day, every night. I mean, it's like, wow. She is literally the gift that keeps on giving. Harris, who serves as chair of the National Space Council. I mean, she is spacey, I will give her that, who serves on the chair of the National Space Council. As I said earlier, does Biden have the worst cabinet ever? I mean, he may or may not be the worst president. I know how I would vote, but he definitely has the worst supporting cast ever, man. But let's anyway, I got to straighten up. Help me. Let me calm down. All right, yeah, I'm ready. Harris, who serves as the chair of National Space Council, visited Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, to vital climate. I mean, this woman is, I mean, there she is. Is that not, when you think of Kamala Harris, do you not think of Wonder Woman? I mean, she is literally going to save the planet, secure the border. I mean, what is this woman not going to do? So now, literally the fate of the world is in her hands because she's in charge of asteroid control, I think. Maybe not, but anyway. As she met with scientists and engineers and received a first-hand look with her own eyes at how the climate is studied by the space program, as well as how it provides data concerning planetary changes and their impacts, the vice president declared, I truly believe space activity is climate in action. Well, nothing would change the... That's probably true, but... Look at this. I mean, this is a snoozer. I call this climate snoozer. Billy Bob, man, this is not actually. He played another. This is from the last weekend's climate deal when Biden was falling asleep. We played that video earlier in the week. But this is there. You see Biden actually falling asleep. But look, there's Al Gore down there. There's old Frankenstein himself, John Kerry. I mean, they really are concerned about the end of the world, right? It's like, well, we're just going to sleep through it. Wake me up when it's over. But I mean, wow, though. I want to play you a video. This is the video, most recent one. It's a little hard to hear because Kamala's got her mask on and I don't think she's mic'd. But we'll play it, but let me just give you a heads up. She interrupts this guy who is a scientist to ask him, are trees racist? Let's listen to it. Check it out.
Climate adaptation strategies.
Can you measure trees? Part of that data that you're referring to, and it's in EJ, it's environmental justice, but you can also track by race. There are averages in terms of the number of trees in the neighborhood where people live.
Climate adaptation strategies.
Did you catch that? She's asking basically this NASA scientist, can we turn the satellites to image the United States and see and look at where trees are planted or not planted, and as proof of what you call it, EJ or whatever, equity, justice, environmental justice, something like that. It is absolutely insane. And it reminds me, it gives credence to her original supporters back when she was running for president. Listen to this video this is her at an actual campaign rally before she withdrew. Check.
I'm at the stage of the campaign where I'm kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else. Let's just have some real talk. So, real talk. In this election, in the last kind of couple, maybe couple months, certainly a few weeks, there's this whole conversation that's been coming up about electability. Focused on our campaign. Is America ready for that? No. Well, yes, they are.
No, she asked, is America ready for her to be president? And her own people said, no. I mean, we should have listened to them right in the beginning. But Harris was asked about her NASA comments, of whether or not what she thought of them. They played this tape for her. And Billy Bob says we'll end the show with this, her response to it.
In San Francisco.
Even she thought she was it is a joke, not a joke. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to all our social media sites, like them, share them with others. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation. But before I say my normal tagline, let me wish you something. If you have beautiful weather, go out into your yard or whatever, look up and see the craters of the moon with your own eyes. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. As I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.